We're cutting through the smoke, talking with the people every pit master knows. From backyard heroes to the Hall of Fame.
Welcome back, barbecue fans, to another week of Wise Guys Barbecue. I'm Vin Picaro. That's Tommy the Butcher.
Y'all.
And we are here again another week with another fantastic guest, Tommy. How are we so blessed? I tell you.
I don't know.
The barbecue gods had looked upon us, but here we go. We got Brandon Hurtado from Hurtado Barbecue and Hurtado Hospitality, killing it out in Texas. I think he's up to, what is he, 5 restaurants now?
Yeah, he's got 5 locations, and he's got doing a
lot
lot of work
things.
with Texas Rangers. He's got a kiosk with the at where do they play?
We're at AT Stadium or something. Here he is. Pay attention. There's going to be a test at the end. Stay tuned. Welcome back, barbecue folks. Here we are. We got Brandon Hurtado from El Jefe Hurtado Barbecue. He is here today to tell us about all his unbelievable abilities in his past and present life of barbecue. So welcome, Brandon. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
No,
Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. And, I looked at this interview as a little bit different than others that we've done because, a lot of times we're dealing with folks that might be a competitor in the competition world and what they're chasing and what's new for them. And other times we deal with people who might be promoting their newest entrepreneurial gains with maybe rubs or sauces. But in your case, I want to hear all about you being an entrepreneur in your restaurant and what you've been doing there. But before we get started with that, I was wondering if you give us a little bit of background about you, because before you even got into barbecue, you were in the digital marketing business, right?
Correct. Yeah, I'm actually still in the digital marketing space. Started my digital marketing agency in 2015, and I've worked for myself ever since.
Oh, wow.
Been really, really fortunate, really blessed to start that business and it be successful. I started that in my spare bedroom after getting laid off from another marketing agency, and I never looked back. So I told myself I didn't want to work for anyone else ever again, and I've been fortunate enough to only be bossed around by my wife and kids.
There you go. The most
I
important
know how
bosses.
that feels. I know exactly where you're at with that.
How have you been successful in that business? I mean, what makes you and your talents different from other marketing groups that you were able to just go solo and be successful?
Being very connected has definitely helped. I've worked, I think my first handful of clients were all executives from other companies that I had worked for previously. And when I went out on my own, they were like, "Hey, we'd love to engage with you. We um, love the work that you did while you were here." And I just kind of took it from there and focused on being transparent. Transparency is really big. Um, I want to work with people who want to work with me in the marketing
Sure.
space. And all of our contracts historically, since we started 11 years ago now, are all month to month. So we don't have any long term contracts. I don't want any of our clients to feel like they're handcuffed to doing business with us. I want to work with people who are good people and who want to do good work together. And so that's kind of been the premise of that business. And I'll admit, since I got into barbecue and have started Hurtado Hospitality, um, my focus hasn't been as much on the marketing space and growing that. My brother's kind of taken over that business and kind of ran with it. But my main focus now is barbecue and really just hospitality in general. I say barbecue. We just opened a Mexican restaurant here in Arlington, and we own a bar, and we really want to try and grow those two verticals even more so than barbecue.
Yeah, Tommy, I was actually filling me in on that a little bit. So let's talk about your barbecue. I mean, how did you get started, and when did you realize that what you were doing in barbecue was going to surpass a hobby level and move into a professional level?
So I went through a breakup in 2017, 2017, and I moved in with my parents. And I was still doing marketing at the time, but I was trying to just figure out, what I wanted to do permanently. And I got into food photography really heavily at the time,
Hmm.
and I started using an old Pecos offset smoker that my dad had in their backyard, and I was taking photographs of brisket and ribs and stuff like that. And then I just got bit by this bug. I got on this Facebook group called North Texas Barbecue Addicts and was putting photos on there of different cooks that I was doing. And barbecue just kind of um, became an obsession for me more than anything. It wasn't even a passion, it was an obsession. And I went to this brewery one day after work at my marketing agency, and I was talking to the guys about like some of the food photography I was doing, and they're like, "You should do a pop up here, just pop up barbecue event, sell tacos or something." And I wasn't really excited about that at the time because I'd never even worked in a restaurant before. Even going through college, like I'd never waited tables or anything. So I didn't really, I wasn't sold on the idea, but they were like, no, you should definitely try it. It would be good for us. You could keep people sober longer. They'll drink more beer. Um, we planned this event in the summertime in 2018, and it was a huge success. A lot of people came out. Um, they were like, "Hey, when are you going to come do this again?" And I
Yeah.
was just selling barbecued tacos, like pulled pork and brisket tacos.
Yeah.
All the food was not what I would serve to people today,
Right.
and they were like, "Man, that was great. You had us at capacity. We should do this again." And my now wife, who I was dating back then, we did the event together and got home, and she was like, "Well, that was fun. We're never doing that again." And I was like, "That was a beating. When are we gonna do the next one?" And it just became like I got bit by this bug to
Right.
do barbecue, and that's how Hurtado Barbecue was born.
Is she still involved now with what you do, or did she bow out after that first one and say, "No, that not for me"?
No, she's definitely involved. She does our payroll
Oh
every
yeah.
week, and we grew from we had me and her in the very beginning, just the two of us, and now we have over 250 employees company
Oh,
wide.
that's
So it's crazy.
fantastic. Now,
Yeah, she's very much involved.
I'd say, um, yeah. So, like, that's what I love about your story and everything that I see and read. I mean, I'm not going to say you didn't have a choice. It seemed like your customers just kept demanding more and more from you. Like, hey,
Yeah,
this is great. You can't sell out next time. Hey, this is great. You need brick and mortar, right? They kept pushing you.
yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. I mean, I feel like the barbecue life kind of chose us,
there you go.
and we got in it at a really special time. Whenever craft barbecue was a thing, but it wasn't nearly as pronounced as it is now in Texas.
Yeah. All right. So why El Jefe? Where did that name come from? And why did you moniker the restaurant? Because the first restaurant was El Jefe Hurtado Barbecue.
No, it's just Hurtado Barbecue.
Oh, okay.
Um, El yeah, El Jefe is a name that I did not make. All my staff calls me Jefe,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and so that's just like a moniker that, um, my staff has come up with, and everyone calls me Jefe at work.
Yeah.
So that's not the name of the restaurant, it's just what they've called me, and, I've never told them not to, so it
There you
kinda
go.
stuck.
Yeah. No, it's a great moniker. I mean, it means the boss, right? And that's who you are.
Yeah,
And it comes out, but it comes out of a place of respect, right?
sure.
So that's awesome.
Brandon, you have got to be the fastest growing independent barbecue brand in the entire state of Texas. Can you take us through those humble beginnings from your initial pop-up doing the breweries to acquiring a food truck in 2019, opening your first brick and mortar place in 2020, to where you are today, where you have 5 locations in Texas? It's
Mhm.
quite a story. And to succeed in that, you need such intense family support. You need to have a tremendous working environment and having employees and a crew that are going to hold true and carry your name and deliver day in and day out. It's quite a story. Could you take us through the evolution?
And if I was to go through everything that we've been through, we'd be here for the next week and still have a lot to talk about.
Well,
Um,
basically,
yeah, the restaurant industry is tough.
Yep.
It's really, really hard. Even for people who've been doing this for 20, 30 years, um, it's difficult, right? And the economy, the environment that we live in, the natural just growing competitiveness of Texas barbecue, there's a lot of options for people in barbecue. And so you have to be a better version of yourself every day than you were the day before if you want to remain competitive. Um, for me, I always knew that one barbecue restaurant wasn't going to be who we were as a brand and it wasn't really going to be what we were defined by. A lot of places like Franklin, for example, he said in several interviews, I could never duplicate or replicate this place. I took that as a challenge. How can we replicate this? How can we make this just as good, if not better, at multiple locations? And I found that as we grew over time, each location had something special about it that other locations didn't have. And that was okay because not everything works at one of our stores that works at another. For example, our Fort Worth location, we opened that in 2022, and it has been wildly successful with our breakfast business there because it's in the hospital district in Fort Worth near downtown. Arlington wouldn't have the same type of response to being open at 7 a.m. every day. And we tried that for a little while and it just didn't work. Um, Similarly, our Dallas location has a full bar because we're in the heart of downtown Dallas. People like to go out and have happy hour, craft cocktails. And we do a brunch there on the weekends too. That wouldn't necessarily work at like our Fort Worth location, where it's like a lot of hospital and working professional business. So we've tried to make each location unique to the communities that they're in. The menus themselves are synonymous with one another. Uh, Aside from breakfast in Fort Worth, we serve the same menu at all the locations, and that does change a little bit seasonally. We try and keep things fresh. Like I don't want people to come in 6 months from now and only have the same options that they had 6 months ago. I want people to come in and get things that are new and vibrant and driven by passion for creativity
Mhm.
and just for putting out good food. And so that's been really important to us. Um, Starting out as a food trailer, we've tried to just get 1% better every day.
That's
And
great.
that's something that we tell our staff, like just it doesn't matter what you do as long as you're getting better and you're learning from your mistakes.
Great point.
Now, in your earlier days, you were craft barbecue, open limited hours.
We were open from 11 a.m. until sold out Wednesday through Sunday whenever we first started.
Now you're expanded way beyond that. Now you open 7 days a week, probably 11 to 9. How was
Correct.
that transition for you? That must have been quite a challenge going from a craft limited hour establishment over into a 7 day a week, 11 to 9 type of situation.
We didn't have a choice whenever we made that change because whenever we went to set hours, we had just closed our Little Elm location and we were losing so much money every week whenever we had that restaurant open, and then we had this huge flood and we had to close for several weeks.
Mm.
It was just we were at this impasse where I told our staff, "Hey, look, we can stay open from 11 till sold out, and we can close our Fort Worth and Arlington locations in a few weeks because, that's we've just been taking such a hit with the Little Elm store that we closed down, or we push ourselves and we open for dinner service and see if that's really gonna make an impact on our business, which I believe it will if we market it appropriately." And there was no one in the craft barbecue space at the time that had like real set hours in our specific area anyways. And I told our staff, I said, you have 2 weeks to figure it out, or we're probably going to start laying people off. And they did it. They're like, we need to hire more people, we need to change our schedule, we need to change our pars, we're going to be cooking multiple um, sessions of ribs and burn-ins and stuff throughout the day, so we have fresh food, and we never looked back. You know, it's a story of just persistence and grit. You know, we
Mhm.
whenever we opened for dinner service, we were just so surprised by the amount of people that came in and supported us. And we immediately doubled our revenue like in a matter of
Wow.
weeks. So it's what saved our business, to be quite honest with you.
So, from being someone not coming from the restaurant business per se, like how did you learn all the restaurant knowledge that you need to learn from that? I mean, did you hire, obviously you're probably hiring quality people that taught you things along the way?
Yeah, I've hired people that are always smarter than me. You know, it's like I kind of look at this like Steve Jobs with Apple. You know, he wasn't a developer, he wasn't a marketer. He was in the business of putting people in their highest and best use. And I don't see this as being any different. Obviously, I know a lot more about the restaurant industry than I did when I first started, but I've only been able to do that by learning from others and pushing myself to learn more. Our COO right now, he worked for Outback for Blooming Brands for 26 years and was the CEO of On the Border at one point. And he came to us and was like, I see what you're doing and I love what you're doing and I really want to be a part of it. And he's told us multiple times, this is the best job I've ever had. And I want this to be the last job I ever have. And to hear that from someone who's been in the industry for 30 years, it tells me that we're doing something right. And we try and act small but think big. And I think that those two things are really important for us as a growing brand in the Texas barbecue niche.
That's fantastic. And how about your restaurant? The atmosphere inside did you keep it more like your pop ups? Is it a big party to come in and join and have something to eat? How does that work out?
You know, that is a constant struggle because no one's gonna ever be excited about your brand as you are. But we have really important pre-shifts with our staff every single day. And we tell them we want our guests to come in and feel like they just won the Super Bowl whenever they're dining with us.
Nice.
Texas barbecue is so competitive and people could go anywhere for great food, but they can't go just anywhere for great hospitality. And at the end of the day, we're in the business of people and we want people to feel valued and welcomed whenever they dine with us. So, yes, the food has to be great. You want people to remember the things that they ate whenever they leave the four walls. But more than anything, you want them to remember how they felt and how you made them feel. And I feel like being unreasonably hospitable is why we've had so much success. That has really been the defining point in what makes us different as a barbecue brand from, say, you know, Terry Black's or Hutchins or all these places that are wildly successful and do a really amazing job at barbecue. We want to be known not just for our barbecue, but for our hospitality.
Cool. Great. So tell me a little bit about your Tex-Mex restaurant and your Tex-Mex influences in your other restaurants. Do you have Tex-Mex influences in your barbecue restaurants as well?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. We call it Mexique.
Okay.
My wife and I both come from Hispanic backgrounds. Both of our dads are Mexican American, and um, we love we love eating Tex-Mex. So Tex-Mex barbecue is a natural fit for us.
Okay,
So,
great.
did you bring any of your family's recipes into the business from, previous generations passed on
You
down?
know, I've definitely talked to my grandma in the past and been like, "Hey, what makes your rice special?" And she's like, "Oh, I don't know. I just put a little bit of this and a little bit of that." And it's like, okay,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
She ain't
it's hard
telling
to
you.
put that. Yeah, it's hard to teach somebody that, you know, and
Yeah.
scale that. So I will say that a lot of the experiences that I had growing up and eating really good Mexican food has influenced how we cook and what we cook and what makes it on the menu. I don't know that we have any specific recipes per se that have been passed down generations, especially since I don't have anyone in my family who's been in the restaurant business themselves. But um, I will say that we are very passionate eaters and we love to eat. So
Yeah.
um, I had about I had about 30 years of eating experience before getting into the
Yeah.
restaurant industry.
But you had to have a cooking influence, right? There had to be either your grandma or
Yeah.
your parents that taught you how to cook, right?
Yeah.
You just Like people
Sure.
don't learn how to cook unless somebody
You
teaches
got to
them.
know how to cook if you're going to open up a restaurant, I would assume.
Yeah. No, my both of my parents, they love to cook.
Okay.
And my dad barbecued a lot whenever I was a little kid.
Who was a better
And
cook,
so
mom or dad?
oh man, I gotta say my mom for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, as a little kid, my mom cooked like every day when I was growing up. So we have our Mexican cornbread on the menu, and that's something that I grew up eating. But we use ground beef in it instead of brisket. So that was a recipe that my mom used to make for dinner when I was a little kid, and it's on our permanent menu now. We just use brisket instead of ground beef in it, and it's really a meal in itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I would have to think that, doing Mexicu or Tex-Mex, I mean, you got to come up with genuine fusion, right? You just can't throw brisket in a tortilla and call it Mexicu, right? You got to have some flair
Sure.
going on in there.
Yeah, I think it goes back to like what you're cooking with, the spices, the seasonings that you're using. Even like our side dishes. We have esquites that are on the menu, and that's not something you normally go to a
What's
Texas
that now?
barbecue restaurant and get. Mexican street corn.
Oh, yes. Okay. What was the name
So
you said?
esquites.
Okay.
It's like elote, but elote is on the
Ah,
cob,
that's
and esquite is cut off the cob.
Okay. Because I knew elote, but I didn't know the difference. So thank you very much.
Yes.
And are they both smoked or grilled?
Yes, it's grilled.
Okay. Cool. Now you mentioned rubs and seasonings. Do you have any signature rubs that you market or brand or use?
We do.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So these are a couple of our seasonings. We have a
Nice.
pork blend, we have a beef blend, and then a poultry rub.
nice.
And we have three of our own barbecue sauces. All of those just got picked up by Central Market and HEB, and
Nice.
those will be in over 80 of their stores in the next 3 weeks. So I'm really appreciative of that. It's an amazing opportunity.
That's great. And how does the marketing go behind that? Are you, because, who the heck were you talking with? I think it was Chad Ward, no, it wasn't. It was Richard
Fregola.
Fergola. And, he made mention about his first big seasoning purchase and, getting like an Ace Hardware, 130 stores, buy 2 cases per store is great. But you got to continue to market, right? Because you got to get the end user to take it off the shelves or you're never going to get a reorder.
hmm Yeah, I don't know that. So, like, whenever we started making our rubs, it wasn't so that we could have retail bottles or retail product to sell in stores. It was just so that we had a more consistent product available to us because I was going into our food truck and I was making rubs one way one day, and then someone would come in the next day when I was off and they'd make it a little bit differently. So we did it just out of a place of consistency so that we could have the same product in our restaurant every day and in our food truck. It's just kind of like morphed into this thing where they want to come into the stores and they want to go home and make it. They want to try and make barbecue themselves with our rubs and our sauces. And I do think that there's a marketing aspect to it to be able to push them in the stores. We did an activation with Central Market a couple of weeks ago, and people were going in the store and I mean buying all of our rubs and our sauces just flying off the shelf. And it's really cool to see. It's surreal to see people in the checkout line at Central Market with your name on a bottle and they're
Yeah.
scanning
Yeah,
it and paying
definitely.
for it. Like it's wild.
That's great. That is going to be cool.
Brandon, tell us about your latest location, Loma, and how did that evolve? You kind of went off the path a little bit with barbecue, getting into more authentic Tex-Mex type of cuisine.
Yeah. We have a really good relationship with the Texas Rangers.
Ah.
In 2023, they gave us an opportunity to be a sponsor and the official barbecue restaurant of the Texas Rangers. We went on to win a World Series for the first time in franchise history that year. And I got to do some really amazing things. I got to cook at the World Series, and
Wow.
I've got to cook with Pudge Rodriguez, do cooking classes on top of the Rangers bullpen or their
He was a former catcher
their
for the
dugout.
Rangers, right? Pudge
Yeah, he's a
Rodriguez?
Hall of Fame
Yeah,
catcher.
yeah. I
he
remember him back in the day.
played with Nolan Ryan.
Yeah.
So I've just got to do some really amazing things, and the ownership of the Rangers came to us back in September, October last year, and they were like, "Hey, we opened this restaurant. It was a franchise deal out of Houston, but they opened it at the Choctaw Stadium, which was the old ballpark in Arlington. And they said, we don't want to be in the restaurant business anymore. If we made you a deal that you couldn't say no to, would you be willing to take this over and make it into something really cool? It's too close in proximity to our barbecue restaurant, right? It would cannibalize each other. So
Right.
we couldn't do barbecue there. And my wife and I always talked about opening a Tex-Mex restaurant because we both love Tex-Mex food. And so I kind of racked my brain on what it would be, what it would be called, and what kind of food we would serve there. And we came up with Loma, which means the mound or the pitcher's mound in Spanish.
Oh, wow.
And we're literally right across the street from Globe Life Field, and it's been really cool. We opened it right before opening day at the ballpark. We just had the World Cup literally a quarter of a mile from the restaurant, so we had fans from all over the world come in and eat our food, and it's a challenge, right? We fired our executive chef, who we thought was going to be the guy to get us across the finish line about 2 weeks before we opened,
Oh boy.
and I was the executive chef opening this restaurant, having never worked in a full service restaurant before. I've got the whole fast casual brick and mortar thing down now, but never opened a full service restaurant. So there was a lot of learning curves and bumps in the road, but it's honestly one of my favorite restaurants to eat at,
Nice.
and I'm a jerk when it comes to my own food. I'm a really tough critic, and I'm tough on our staff, but I love the food there, and I feel like we have a new executive chef who's amazing. So it takes a lot of the weight off my shoulders that I don't
Right.
have to wear a chef coat to work every day
Nice.
anymore. Um, but it's really cool. We had Alex Rodriguez was in the restaurant the other day, and he was dining there. That was really cool to
Yeah,
have
yeah, I can imagine.
another Hall of Famer in there. Um, it's been neat. So it's very different from barbecue, and it's been a nice break from barbecue.
Now
Sure.
you mentioned the World Cup. I know AT&T Stadium was a host venue for some of the games. Were you able to catch some of them?
I went to 3 World Cup games.
Really?
It was really cool. I got
I
to
can
see
imagine.
Messi break the record. I took my son to that
Oh,
game,
that's
Yep.
and
great.
then, the Cowboys actually invited us to have our food truck there for every game, so we were selling barbecue there at the World Cup,
Oh,
every game, which
great.
was amazing.
Yeah, that is great. Um, talking about, those opportunities in marketing in general for yourself, you must find social media marketing old hat, right? Like something very easy for you because a lot of folks that we talk to, especially in the competitive world, they're learning all that secondary to what they do in barbecue. It must be
Mhm.
super easy for you.
I don't know that it's necessarily easy because social media today is very different than it was 5, 6 years ago, um,
How so?
but it's definitely something. So, social media today is more creator focused, I feel like, and more influencer focused than it is just about putting out consistent quality content.
Okay,
And 3, 4 years ago, you could just have a really good marketing campaign, put out consistent content, and you're going to get more visibility naturally, just organically through, Meta's algorithm or whatever platform you're posting on. And it's
sure.
very different now. I feel like you have to focus more on virality and putting out content that has the propensity to go viral than you do just putting out quality, consistent content. And it's very like influencer focused now too. There's a whole just market for influencers, people to go out and you know eat food and think that they're going to get it for free, so they can make a reel for you. Um, but you definitely have to think outside the box a lot more. And one thing that's been huge for us that we're kind of all in on right now is live selling. And I don't know if you guys have heard of any live selling apps, but that is a huge market for us and somewhere I'm
Nice.
spending a lot of my focus right now.
So I'm not familiar with that. What is it? Is it like a go live platform on a social media that you're actually producing sales through?
Yeah, so like even TikTok has live selling on the app where you can sell things and people can bid on it auction style. I'm on a couple of different apps, and we sell barbecue through there. We're one of the largest sellers of fresh and specialty foods in the United States, and we ship a lot of barbecue nationwide every single day.
That's
Well, I
fantastic.
say every day, Monday through Thursday, we do.
Yeah. How do you connect that marketing to getting folks in the seats at the restaurant? How do you get them from watching you to eating your food? I mean, obviously, if you're doing online sales, that's kind of a direct line. But if if you weren't, how do you find it? How do you find the abilities to get folks from the internet into your restaurants?
Um, I think you really have to be intentional about where you're focusing your marketing efforts. Catering is a huge focal point for us. Our catering program right now is wildly successful, and we've put a lot of focus into that, connecting with different folks in the hospitality industry, whether it be hotels or event venues, and trying to make it known, who we are and what we have to offer from a catering perspective. We did a catering for Co Wetzel. He's a huge country artist last weekend, and
Yeah.
where most people would say no to something like this, we drove 3.5 hours to his house in East Texas and did this catering for him. And it's little things like that that turn into bigger opportunities.
Sure,
So
sure.
I think you just really have to be intentional, and sometimes it's grassroots. It's going out and handing out samples
Yeah.
to local businesses and leaving business cards and just getting in the community and letting people know that you're there.
Spinning the web. I love it.
Yep.
I love it. Okay, so you get a lot going on, right? In a good way, right? You're trying a lot of different things. How do you measure your return on these investments? I mean, you can't possibly try to bean count the investments one by one because, like you said, there's so much more in making the connections and the relationships than just making money. But I mean, have you done things? This is the best way to do it because I always mark my successes by my failures. Have there been some things you say, I'll never do that again? What can you tell me about that?
Yeah. I think the things that we say we're never going to do that again are the things that have opened us up to different liabilities. And you obviously don't want to make those mistakes again.
Yeah.
Trying to focus on learning from having to close a restaurant down and saying, well, you know what? It was really nice to get some help from the Economic Development Committee, but this was a really bad location for us because it wasn't busy. Why was it not busy? Was it partially our fault? Maybe. Was it because of the location and there's no local businesses, so people are traveling outside of that community to go elsewhere for work? Thus, you have no lunch business.
Yeah.
That's probably what it was. So we've really tried to focus on as we open new stores, opening in areas that can support a really healthy lunch business, and then focusing on not opening massive restaurants. Our
Yeah.
Dallas store is our biggest one, and most people wouldn't go from a 7,000 square foot restaurant that you just closed down to opening another 7,000 square foot restaurant. But we took baby steps first. We opened in Mansfield, and that's only like 2,500 square feet, right? These low impact, low risk, high reward restaurants are kind of more of our focal point. And we're going to open one here in our hometown in Argyle, North Texas, um, in December, maybe January, and that one's only 4,800 square feet. So you don't need to be like a Terry Black's or a Hutchins size restaurant to
Hmm.
be wildly successful. You
Yeah.
just need to find how to be really efficient and how to move people through and still make them feel valued at the end of the day.
Yeah. Obviously, I think what's made you so successful is that, you just demonstrate a good combination of good barbecue and, disciplined business strategies and media strategies. I think you pulling that trilogy together has really made you, rise up beyond, I'll say beyond your beliefs, but beyond the point of just people knocking your doors down. I think it's fantastic, and that's what I got reading about you. And I'm glad I'm hearing the same message because it's absolutely clear. It's clairvoyant.
Yeah. And your family's
appreciate
all
it.
in
Thank
with
you.
this. You're getting great support.
Yeah, yeah.
That's quite an amazing
Yeah,
story.
we don't have a choice now. We're all in.
Yeah.
So
No
I'm gonna
turning back,
I'm gonna be a
right?
little selfish here, and you can say you don't know because you just met us tonight, and you might not know the New England area. But if you had to give me some advice, like what could Wise Guys Barbecue podcast do to create more loyal New England following rather than just chasing views and looking for pings?
Um, we ask ourselves, anytime we do something different, or we look at a new venture, it's how can we make how can we make people feel differently. um I'll give you an example. I was at a soccer stadium, not AT&T, but a smaller one that's opening in Mansfield, near one of our restaurants, and they want to carry our food there. And they were talking about, how they have like 8 suites, and then they have all this other area, and it's all open. There's no AC, and it's hot. Like right now in Texas, it's like 110 degrees
Yeah.
outside. And they were talking about how their hospitality is going to be this and that. And I said, the only thing you need to worry about is how you make people way the hell up there who are going to be in the heat with no shade during early games feel like they're the same people over there in those suites that are in the AC. How do you make them feel just as special as the people that are in the suites? And they were
Sure.
like, that is a great question. So I think if you can focus on how you make your viewers feel like they're listening to Joe Rogan, and you make them feel just really valued and special, and create content that really resonates with them that no one else is doing, you've already answered your own question.
All right, thank you. That's good
It's a great
advice. I
answer.
appreciate
Great
that.
advice.
Yeah, thank you. Brandon, thank you very much for taking the time today. I know you're
Thank
a
you,
busy
Brandon.
guy. This is awesome. I really, really appreciate it. I wish you the best, and I can't wait to see what comes next for Hurtado Hospitality for sure.
Sounds exciting. Looking
Thank you.
forward to it.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you so
Appreciate you.
much.
Thank
All
you.
right, have a great night. Bye-bye.
Good night.
You too.
Vinny, we just did it again. Wasn't that fantastic? That
He
guy was
unbelievable.
awesome.
Brandon was the coolest guy. I mean, I said it in the video and I'll say it again. I think his ability to make good, practical business decisions while he markets and makes the best barbecue in Texas, lighting it up, right?
Definitely.
It's just lighting it up for him and his brand. And I don't see where there's a ceiling on that guy. I don't see I can't see what he can't do.
And I don't know. We've just been racking them up. We've got some quite star-studded people coming on, and stay tuned because we got a lot more to follow.
It only
coming
gets
up.
better, guys. It's going to
Gonna
be a
get much
couple
better.
more. I'm not going to even drop any teasers in front of you because, in this business, nothing's definite until it's definite. But we will be coming with more your way.
So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.
Like and subscribe and go eat some barbecue.
Pull up a chair, we're cutting through the smoke, talking with the people every pit master knows. From backyard heroes to the Hall of Fame, everybody's welcome when they're earning their name. We talk the wood, the rub, the smoke, the flame, the old school legends and the rising names.